So the mindset is whenever I'm going through something, I look to evidence of somebody that has achieved or have done something that I'm trying to do. I always do that because that's how you, not say trick the mind, but you show the mind that it's possible.
This is Stay Paid, a sales and marketing podcast on a mission to help you close more deals and retain more business.
Welcome to another episode of Stay Paid. I'm Joshua Stike along with Luke Acree. And before we bring on our guests today, we'd love it if you take a minute to subscribe to Stay Paid on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify if you're not already subscribed. And while you're there, drop us a review to let us know how we're doing, and we will read it here on the show. Our guest today is Sherri Somers. Sherri is the founder and CEO of Sherri Somers Unlimited Services, where she is helping women take full charge of their financial future. Sherri has dedicated herself to coaching women on how to develop a healthy relationship with money while unapologetically making more money, protecting their assets, and feeling amazing doing it. Sherri, welcome to Stay Paid. Thanks for being here.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
So I had the privilege of being on the speaking tour with Sherri, and it was awesome. Your personality is amazing and captivating from stage. I'm so excited for you to speak here on the podcast. One of the things that stood out to me, though, one of the nights you had, I don't know if it was like people in your coaching program that showed up, but you had a tribe of people show up to see you, and the vibe of those people, the energy of those people. I think you guys even started having a dance party back there with one of the other speakers. It was hilarious, but it was great. And that's going to be the topic we talk about. Like, how do you build a tribe? Because you are so good at it. It's what you've done for your own business. It's what you're coaching people to do. But before we jump into that topic, can you share just kind of the 30,000 foot view of your story, what got you into insurance and into coaching?
Very good. Yes. And let me say again, thank you for having me here. Let me say that up front. Well, one of the things what got me into coaching, I used to be a cop. All right. So I was a corporal in the sheriff office for a long time. And in that space, I love my job. But what I saw something, I see that there was a gap especially in corrections, where the inmates in jail, they would leave, then they will come back. So they kept increasing the recidivism rate in our jails. So at the time, I was learning about real estate. So I would take the information I learned in real estate and I would apply it and teach the inmates while they're in jail, so they too can start their businesses when they're released from jail. So I started coaching them. So I was learning about wholesaling properties and all sorts of stuff like that, and lease options and all these great real estate strategy. And I would go back and I would teach them how to get their GEDs, teach them about plumbing, and teach them about lawn services. And they will come out and apply what I taught them, and they became taxpayers again. So they were able to transform their mindset and their money when they got out using the strategy that I was teaching them. Now, back then, I didn't know anything about coaching and all the stuff that we know now. I just saw a problem and said, hey, how can we need these beds. There are too many inmates coming to jail. So we're like, how do we get rid of some of these inmates that are in jail? Long story short, it got the attention of President Barack Obama. And in September 2016, we went to the White House for the program was called Get Her Done program. And now we have what we call the reentry program here in America. But the purpose of me doing that, I'm like, wow, that's amazing. So they will come out and be lawn service person and got their own. Right now, I would go somewhere like even McDonald's and I would see somebody like, hey, Corporal Somers, I got my GED from you. Hey, my plumbing business is going
awesome.
good, you know. And even though I'm no longer there, that program is still intact. But right after that, I got divorced in the middle of all that excitement and hype and media attention and all that. I got divorced, and my school called one day and told me that my son is sick, unresponsive, not breathing. So I end up having to go to the school, and he had like a hole in his heart, and he had an asthma attack and all sorts of stuff that with his lungs. So that ended my career. But prior to going to the school, a week later, I asked my supervisor, my sergeant, hey, can I take 30 minutes to get off work so I can pick up my son from daycare? And he says no, because I had just got divorced and I was a single mom. And he says no. He said, no, I can't. And because he said, no, I could not, I went back to work, didn't know I had any other options. So here's his mom helping ex-offenders start their businesses, but I didn't have the belief system and the mindset that I could take those strategies outside of jail and help other people. But when tragedy hit, when my son is laying on the ground and they're asking him what day it is, do you know what happened? I look up to the sky and I say, God, if you bring me my son Dylan back, I would never work for someone again. And I took FMLA leave and I never went back to work in law enforcement.
Wow. Because
my son needed me. But long story short, what happened now, I left, but I was broke. Broke. The 430 credit score. I was broke. I'm not going to tell you how I left and I was banking. No, I was broke. They would come to get my car and they would also come to get my house. So they'll come to get my car on the 15th and I was 8 payments behind on my mortgage.
Wow.
And I said, what am I going to do? And I was like, Laura, what am I going to do? I jumped now. What am I going to do? So I started using the iPhone. I started using the iPhone 6. It wasn't 11. It wasn't a 12. It was a 6. And I just started going live on social media, teaching them how I was using the power of life insurance, because I had a life insurance policy. When you leave a job, you have to transfer all that money. So I was using my IUL to start to pay off some debts. And I was going live like I just did right before getting on here, telling them about the different strategies they can use to pay off debt using insurance. Insurance agencies started seeing me. But in the process of doing that, going live, doing video marketing, guess what? People started calling me and I made my first 12K and I just started doing that. I started building what we call a tribe or community, got my insurance license and I started, having downlines and all that. But that's pretty much how I got in it, is pretty much in my situation.
That's amazing.
The pain was hard. So in this situation, I left the pain, but I took the purpose.
Amazing story. So talk a little bit about that mindset that is required to be able to go from 8 payments behind on your mortgage, broke, as you say, to actually being able, because so many people would give up in that moment. What was different about your mindset that made you be able to go and find this next journey?
Great question, Josh. Great question, because number one, I have a master's degree, right? And I was in law enforcement, so I could have just went and got another job. But the problem still remained. My son needs me, right? I needed freedom. And this is what I teach women to do right now we're chasing freedom. We're chasing of being the gratitude that Luke talked about on his page today on IG, being able to say, hey, the school just called. If I had to go pick up my son, I could just easily go pick my son up. So for me, number one, it was, okay, what do I want to do? Is the resilience behind it, right? It's a resilience that, hey, God, this is what if I did it for, I look to a space where an evidence that it has been done. I look to a space where I took inmates who are ex-offenders, who are low crime, let's be clear. But if I can help them, what else can I do for my own self? If that means the strategy work, right? So the mindset is whenever I'm going through something, I look to evidence of somebody that has achieved or have done something that I'm trying to do. I always do that, because that's how you, not say trick the mind, but you show the mind that it's possible.
Yeah, we talked about
the banister, right? Thing, the mile. That's a whole concept
the 5-minute mile.
Yeah, the 4-minute mile. Yeah. It's like a whole concept. Like, because he broke it, now other people can break it. So that I just want people to know that that's like a true thing in psychology.
Yeah, I think also you're hitting on what we talked about a couple weeks ago, which is this idea of you can't just change your mindset. Like, you actually have to do something that then, like you said, tricks your brain into changing your mindset. And what you did was go find the people that had what you wanted to achieve and started absorbing that. Yeah.
So tell us, like, obviously you're changing your mindset, but you're trying to get a business off the ground. You mentioned video marketing. I'm now following you since the 8% tour and stuff like that. And you are all over the place when it comes to video marketing. Like, you're always out there. You're always doing videos. You're always going live. You're always doing those things, which I think is amazing. Can you walk people through how that's helped you grow your business, like how that's helped you generate leads, what that's all about in building a tribe?
Sure. So I believe in compounding interest, right? So when anything that you do a lot, So I always believe in simplifying so you can maximize, right? Simplify so you can maximize and then monetize. So I don't believe in doing a whole bunch of things. I believe in doing a few things, but doing more of the same thing over and over. That's my motto. And because of that, as a woman in insurance, who I use the power of videos to grow my business. And the reason for that, again, going back to that freedom thought, moms and wives, we don't have the luxury, if that's what you want to call it, of calling and cold calling and door knocking and all this stuff. So when I got in the insurance space, no one was using the strategy. Maybe Cody, of course, he came from YouTube, but I didn't see anyone that looks like me that was using the strategy of, okay, I'm in this space. How do I get people to me? How do I attract them? How do I create a magnetic brand opposed to me chasing them down because I don't have the time? So it wasn't like, oh, that doesn't work. It doesn't work for my schedule as a mother. I got to pick my son up at 3. Even when I'm flying, I got people that I still have to pick him up. And even when I was with you, Luke, on the tour, I had to go to Starbucks and help my son with his homework while I'm in I think Dallas. So there's still responsibility. So I found video marketing because as an avenue, as a mother who needed flexibility to be able to grow their business and raise their business. Yes, he has a tutor that comes in, but that's not when I'm making money. It was before that didn't happen before. So I found video marketing to be flexible. I can put a video out there and then people can watch it on their own time. The algorithms do the job for me. So when I started doing this, I said, okay, what is a schedule? Like inside of my group, we go live. I go live with a masterclass every Monday. Every single Monday, you get a free masterclass inside of my group about making consistent cash flow. So with that being said, I do a few things, but I do a lot of the few things, and that compounds and bring audience organically to my space all the time. And that has really been what changed my life. I went live 360 days to beginning to get myself out there. Because again, I didn't have money for coaching, didn't have money for ads. So I used what was in my hands. And I think that's what's important.
Ooh. That's incredible.
Yeah,
What's different about being a woman in insurance? Because you mentioned helping women be unapologetic about wanting to make more money. What are some of the challenges or maybe some of the experiences that you've seen that are different?
You just hit me with all these good questions today, Josh. So women in insurance and men is totally different. And I know everybody's, because someone always come for me. Everyone's situation is different. But as a mother, like you didn't see this lady call while I was late for this call. She didn't call his dad. She called me, right? She called the mom of the child, right?
That's a good point.
You guys don't get the phone calls we get, right? So that alone in itself kind of tells you. So we have responsibility. Our motivator is we still have to want to cook dinner. We still want to make it a soccer game. So when you have your upline or someone in insurance saying, hey, why are you not on that conference call? Why are you not door knocking on Saturday? Because I'm with soccer with my son. I'm not door knocking. It's too expensive out there. I'm not going to go write a policy at 8 o'clock as a woman by myself in a strange neighborhood. I'm not doing that. And then because you're not doing that, you're not standing on the podium with a check saying that you're making all this money. And then you're feeling some type of guilt because as a mom, I don't have the luxury of calling 100 calls, right? Because my calls end at 3 o'clock. School get over at 3. There's doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, but that doesn't mean I'm an example. That doesn't mean you can't hit 6 and 7 figures in another way. We're gonna make the same money. I'm just gonna do it in a different way.
Wow, love that. So 360 videos, right? 360 videos. Can you walk people through? Like what type of videos, like how should they think about their content? Now, we don't have just insurance agents that listen to this, but I think it will apply across the board. Like, how do you think about your content, what you're posting, and are you still doing one a day? Are you doing, one a week? Like, what's your thought process there?
Thank you. So the 360 was for the beginner who says, I don't have any money for a coach. I don't know where to start, but are you willing? Do you believe, right? Are you willing are you willing to do 360 videos a day? Are you willing to believe that you can? And even if it's not, then are you willing, right? Because either you have the time, talent, or you have the treasure. If you don't have the time, that means you have the talent. If you don't have the talent, that means you have the money. So for me, when I decided, when I saw that there was something here, because in the beginning I was just pouring out my heart and just kind of talk about my story of how I'm getting out of debt, right? I was just, okay, this is what I'm doing, y'all. And then, I'm not an expert. I didn't want anyone coming for me, but this is what my story, no one can sue you for your story. This is what I'm doing to get out of debt. And then I start, people who are relating to me and a mom being in debt and getting out and being bold and really courageous to tell my truth, right? Mom, a lot of people found that, so they gravitated to my story. So now looking back, now that I understand what I understand, because then I was just pouring my heart out. Now, for me, it's really what I would tell people is listing those pain points of what your ideal clients are going through. So I knew I wanted to help insurance agents grow their agency. That's the thing that I'm doing now. So no matter whether it's my personal page or it is on the other page, right after you, I have a gentleman, he's a male, and he's like, I know you work with female, but he took one of my courses and he got some help and he got 4 clients. And he's like, I don't care what you do. I don't care if you help females. I need you. I'm going to sign up for your
awesome.
VIP day. So when a person need help, you can't stop them. They're going to get the help they desire. Now, those are my kind of people. But listing the pain points of what your ideal client need, like let's say 10 pain points, and use that as a talking point of when you go live or you upload your video, and then repurpose those videos on the platform. Remember, I said doing a few things, but doing a lot of it so it can compound, right? So we may run one video a week, but we chop those videos up and repurpose those videos in different platforms. What I see people do a lot is they do too much videos and they're not really have a strategy behind it. So I say do less video, but more promotion of that one video. And that's what we see the difference, using the pain points.
That's awesome. Talk about the power then of building a tribe, because it's kind of, clear listening to you. I can envision what your tribe probably looks like. Obviously, you being your authentic self has clearly attracted that tribe. How has that changed your business?
Oh, very well, because I disrupt the atmosphere of what we say a business should look like as a mom, as a wife, right? Especially in the insurance space. We disrupt the atmosphere as in saying, now women who are in my space, we give them permission to say, hey, you don't want to work on Saturdays and write a policy on Saturdays and you want to go to soccer or volleyball, go to soccer or volleyball. As long as you're doing your marketing up front, then your marketing is going to come in. If you know you're doing the marketing, that's the bloodline of your business, you can go to Saturdays. You want to arrange what schedule you work. You want to work Tuesday to Friday or Tuesday to Thursday, you can. So I think that why women in the insurance and financial space gravitate to me, because I'm disrupting the way how I'm marketing my business. And on top of that, it's not just I'm an insurance agent. Like we have ebooks and we have courses and we have all sorts of things. So I am showing women that you take a license and you leverage it and create different residual income using that one license. So it's not going out of your space. It's staying in your industry and pressing gas.
Love that. So it's really interesting when I'm listening to you. It's so valuable for everybody listening to this to pick up that what you've come across is you have a personal belief, like in a personal purpose, and you are taking that purpose and hammering that message, and it comes across not as salesy, it doesn't come across as spammy or anything like that, because it is something that is authentic and purpose driven to you. And it's like that to me is such a golden takeaway, because we all know anybody who's made a little bit of money realizes you 100% can start off being motivated by making money, and you should be. A lot of us are, right? But what happens is it's not that you're not motivated to make money. You just realize, wow, the money motivation doesn't get you up to face the adversity after you have a little bit of money. It doesn't get you up like the purpose does, like the story does, like what your mission does. And it's so clear that you have that and you're putting that out there. How does somebody find that for themselves? That's the $1 million question, right? I don't know if you can give us any advice on, like, if you're sitting here trying to figure out, well, what's my purpose? How do I find my unique thing that Sherri has? What would you encourage people to do?
So inside my Joyful Tribe, there's a 5-step framework, and we don't have time to go over all the 5s right now. But one of the things, the first step of is number 1 is getting clear on your brand, because what we really teach you how to do is to build your brand, your brand identity, so that which now then becomes your brand equity. And the first step of that is really finding your purpose. So when I teach people how to find your purpose, I use the W.O.N method. W.O.N. I'm from Jamaica, so I have an accent. So it's W.O.N. 1. So the W.O.N method is W is what I went through, right? What is the thing that I went through? And think about your story, your brand story. I just told you my story about my son getting sick. That is my story. That's my brand story. That's what got me here. And then so the 1 W, what I went through. The O is how I overcame it, right? How I overcame it. What are the steps that I used to overcome it? And then the N is what am I never going back to? So what I went through, how I overcame it, and what I'm never going back to. And that becomes your purpose. And that purpose, you spread that message. That's your brand message on your website, on your Facebook page. And so showing women how to make that 6 figures with ease, I'm not going back to that. And the reason I'm doing that, so they don't have to go through what I went through. They don't have to go to a 9-to-5, and they don't have, so that wakes me up at night. So when I go a webinar and, you're going to need that when you go on a live and there's 0 people following you, or you're going to need that when not enough people click on your reels. That doesn't motivate me. So what motivates me is because your mission is never solved, right? Like Martin Luther King mission is always still going to be going on, right? Mother Teresa mission is all. So if you have a mission, your mission is never solved. It's always going to keep going on. There's always work to do. But I use that one method to always find your purpose.
Incredible.
That is awesome.
Sherri, thank you so much for coming on our podcast today. This was great. Your story was great. Your message is inspirational to so many people. Before we close out, let people know how they can connect with you.
Yeah, very simple. Go to joinsherri.com. Joinsherri.com.
Sherri is Sherri.
Yep,
Yes,
that's it. Joinsherri.com.
We will include that link in our show notes as well, so you can head on over to staypaidpodcast.com to get those. If you enjoyed this episode and want to show your support, head on over to Apple Podcasts, drop us a 5-star review. Let us know what you thought of this episode, and the best way to show your support is to simply share this episode with a friend. Share it with someone that you know needs to hear that today. If you want to get hold of me or Luke, you can email us at podcast@remindermedia.com. And of course, you can follow us on social. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
Guys, I'm Luke Acree. Sherri, thank you so much. You are a rock star. Keep changing lives. Love watching it. You really, really do have an amazing energy about you. And when I met the people that are in your tribe, I realized, wow, real deal. You are changing lives. I love it. Hey, my action item to everybody listening to this, I think is simple. You got to find your purpose, right? You got to find that brand identity. And, I'd encourage you to go check out Sherri's courses. I think you can work through those steps and set into practice right now this one method. What have you been through? How did you overcome it? And what are you never going back to? Right? Put that into practice and see what comes out on the other side for your brand story, your purpose. Remember, the difference between top producers and mediocre producers in every business is top producers take action. Take action on that today.